ahead and get started with our first media availability this morning in advance of this weekend's races here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So we've now been joined by Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 21 Motorcraft Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center Ford. And Ryan, advancing into the round of 12, obviously a big accomplishment for your team. Talk a little bit about coming into this weekend at Charlotte.
Yeah, it's nice to be in the second round. The first round we just kind of survived, and last week wasn't the prettiest at all, but we kind of did what we had to do and just get in. So I'm looking forward to the second round. I think these tracks suit us a little bit better. A couple mile and a halves, and Talladega we always run decent at, but you never know what can happen. So I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to be here at Charlotte, opening this thing, and hopefully we can have some good runs and start off on the right foot, and hopefully be in a decent spot for Talladega to where we don't have to hit a home run or anything like that. But if that happens, we'll just kind of roll with what we have to do. But nice to be here. Place I grew up pretty close to, and be racing here. It's a nice racetrack.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Ryan. If you have one, please state your name and affiliation, and we'll start right here. No, get one up.
Mark Arrow, PRN. Ryan, obviously this is your first playoff experience. Have you noticed an increase in the intensity in these first three races as opposed to the regular season?
Yeah, it's intense for sure. From lap one, which that's how it's supposed to be. I think that's how racing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, on go from the drop of the green flag. There shouldn't be any riding around. I'm not saying we do that in the regular season, but there's definitely a lot more give in the regular season, and there's none of that in the postseason, which is good. That's how it should be, and that's how I like racing. So intensity is high, but that's what we race for. So I like it.
All right, we'll go to Jenna. Right up front, please.
Jennifer AP. Ryan, did you just get by? Did you just get by and do enough to survive in the first round? Do you think you guys are gonna have to raise your game to get through the second round?
Yeah, definitely. We can't go out this weekend and run like we did at Dover. That was pretty bad. We gotta definitely be better. You're gonna have to, get a bunch of stage points and run at least in the top 10 in all three races, I think, to transfer on. And that's the way it is. As we cut teams, it just gets harder to make it in, obviously, the next round. So we do have to get better. I'm not going to say that we're really where we want to be. We need to be faster and compete and be able to go out there and do it every single weekend. So I think this will be a pretty big testament for us and how it's going to go off here in the second round. But we do need to be better for sure.
All right, Mike, did you have a question?
Mike Henry, USA Today. Next October here is going to be very different, obviously. What are your expectations of how that race is going to come off?
I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air on my thoughts about it and what to expect. I'm not really sure what to expect. I don't think anybody is, really. It'll be different. I was able to, I guess they put some turf down over there, and that's a little bit different from what it's been to separate it. But and right now it's kind of hard to even walk that roval because the campers are here. But it'll be something different. I know NASCAR's always wanting to change things, and the track here at Charlotte, they were wanting to do something as well. So my thoughts about it is it's just something different. We'll adapt to it, whatever it is. But it'll be neat. It being a playoff race, it's a little bit kind of wacky. But that'll be an interesting second round for sure if it stays in this order with the road course at Speedway and then a mile and a half. That'll be a pretty unique round for sure. But I think it'll be pretty neat. The fans hopefully will like it, and just something new, and that is never a bad thing.
All right, we'll go to Jonathan and then Lewis and then Dustin.
Jonathan from NASCAR.com. So, where do you think you have to be at the end of this race to, not necessarily be comfortable going into Talladega with that race being a wild card? Is it the top 5? Is it the top 10? What's going to ease your mind going into that?
If we're in victory lane, to be honest with you, I feel like that's the only way you can really feel good about going into a speedway like that. Even if you win a couple stages, yeah, that's great. You got a bunch of gap, but you can go out and get caught up in one before even the first stage and lose a bunch. And I don't really think you can ever really feel comfortable going into a speedway race unless you're locked in. So hopefully we can try to win the race. Obviously, that's our main goal. But I think if you have a solid day, it helps out. But I don't really think you'll be comfortable unless you win the race going into next week.
All right, Lewis, go ahead.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Lap traffic may have figured into the outcome of the race or the eliminations at Dover. How are you finding courtesy amongst lapped cars?
I mean, they're racing like they should. You look at the situation last week, and that was, there's two sides to every story. I mean, 31's trying to make his season and make it into the next round, and he doesn't want to go a lap down in case there's a caution, try to get some spots, and, yeah, there might have been some leeway he could have given the 24, but, he's racing too. He's racing for his season pretty much, and, you can't really blame him for that, even though, the outcome kind of stunk for the 24. But, the lap traffic is kind of how it is, and it's, kind of car related. Like I said, the 31's in the playoffs. He's trying to make the next round. If it was another car who's, laps down or doesn't really is not in the playoffs, they might give him a little bit of room, but you got to understand who's racing for what, and they deserve to be out there too, no matter how many laps down they are. They're racing also, but I don't think really that's changed very much in the playoffs. The lap traffic, it was hard to pass last week for sure. Traffic was pretty rough, pretty brutal, but I don't really think it's changed too much here, whether it's playoffs or regular season.
All right, we'll go to Dustin and then Jim. Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Ryan, there's 4 Toyotas left. Kyle Larson's left, obviously showing a lot of speed. How do you compete against those teams, and do you view it as you're trying to race for one of 3 spots left for the next round?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you do kind of look at that. I think personally there's 3 teams that have been the class of the Cup Series all season, and I think you guys know the 3 teams that have been up there, and especially showing muscle here in the last, especially start the playoffs, but the last, months, handful of months, and you can almost look at it that way, but you never know what can happen, and who can get knocked out or get in, and it's just circumstances. But I don't really look at it that way. I try not to kind of focus on, only one spot in the Final Four. I just try to get to the next round and focus on each weekend individually, and just try to do our job each weekend and then move on to the next one. I think that's the best way to kind of go about things, especially the way the systems are now. So those guys have run great all year, and you got to respect them for it. They've done a great job. But hopefully, like I said earlier, we can get our team better. We need to be better, and whether it's cars faster, I need to be better. Execution on pit road needs to be a little bit better. So if we can improve a handful of things, hopefully we can make a little bit of a march towards those top 3 cars. It'll be tough to do, but I have faith in us. Hopefully we can do it.
All right, we're going to go to Jim and then to the back. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim on motorsport.com. Going back to kind of Jenna's question about surviving the first round, it seemed like you guys had high expectations, as a lot of people do when the playoffs started. Were you caught a little off guard by the fact that you weren't maybe perhaps better in the first round than you ended up being, or is it really hard to tell?
It's kind of hard to tell. You never really know how you're going to stack up before the playoffs. When everyone brings all new updates and new cars and things like that, and it's hard to kind of tell where you're going to be. So I didn't really have a ton of expectations going in. I just wanted to kind of do our job and transfer into this round because our team deserves to be at least in this round. I think we've shown that, proven that. But I knew the first round was probably going to be the toughest, to be honest with you, because I struggle at Loudon pretty bad, and Dover's not been my best racetrack, so I thought that was going to be a kind of a struggle round for us, and I was really looking forward to this round, to be honest with you, out of all of them, because we run pretty good on these racetracks. So our goal was honestly to just, I guess, survive, but you can't just kind of lay over and take it. You just have to try to do your job and do the best you can and try to get some points for the next round. But I just go to each race trying to win it, and I don't really look at the week after. Just try to do the best we can in the moment.
All right, go ahead.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. Ryan, with as strong as the Ford Speedway program has been this year, and how strong the 21 team always is on the plate tracks, I know they call Talladega a wild card. Can you take any sense of comfort from the fact that you guys are always good in the draft, or is it just so unpredictable that there's really not much, even with the speed that you can take?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, there's confidence there because we run pretty decent there, and we've had some good runs at speedways, but you never know. I mean, we've had great runs at Talladega, and we got, KO'd the earlier race this year and then got knocked out. So you just never know what can happen. It's just all kind of circumstance and chance. Unless you, are just absolutely dominant, you can lead the whole race, and I've seen a couple of people do that in the past handful of years. But even then, I've seen them kind of fall back and get wrecked. So there's not a lot of comfort you can bring into that race. Just know that you run decent there, and our cars have been pretty fast, and hopefully you can make the right moves and decisions and have a little bit of luck on your side as well. That comes into play on those tracks, unfortunately, but and everything really. But there's confidence, but not a lot of comfort.
All right, go ahead.
Tyler Burnett, Motor Racing Network. You have driven Roush Yates engines the majority of your career, and obviously for probably the foreseeable future with going to Penske next year. What's Robert Yates' legacy to you? You're a bit of a historian. What's his legacy, and also maybe your greatest memory you've had with him?
Yeah, that was really tough to hear, that news. The Yates family has been a huge part of NASCAR for a long time, and it's really great to show the support that Doug has to our team and carrying on his father's legacy. I've always appreciated the Yates family for all the advancements they've made in NASCAR from, back in the day, and still advancing and improving, and probably one of the top, it's easy for me to say, one of the top engine manufacturers nowadays. But I had a really great story about him, Robert. So we did our victory lunch at Roush Yates for Pocono it was about a month and a half ago, and Robert came. So they had all the employees, Doug was there, and Robert showed up. And so the Wood brothers, Eddie, Len, and I, and Robert and Doug sat down and talked for it was at least 2 hours after the lunch was over, and just hearing stories. He reminds me a lot of Leonard in that sense, where he can, he was a great storyteller and had just tons of stories. And he told me a great story about A.J. Foyt. He was working on his, it was a Silver Crown car, I believe, of his back in the day. I couldn't remember what year. It kind of made me laugh, and you kind of get a sense of who the two people are. He's out there running, I think it was at Indianapolis Raceway Park, I don't know what they call it nowadays, IRP. And AJ comes in, he's like, it's not running right, carburetor's not running right. He's like, all right, let me fix it. Goes out again. AJ comes in, he's like, I'm telling you, it's not running right, we need to replace it. He's like, oh, let's just fix it. And he said AJ comes out from behind the toolbox with a 5-pound sledgehammer and just beats the hell out of this carburetor. And he said, well, I think you should put a new one on it now. And I thought that was a pretty funny story. And there was a handful of others there, but that was probably my favorite. So it was nice to get to know Robert a little bit before he passed. And great guy, just loved the sport, and probably one of the biggest innovators of the sport on the engine side. So, I think about his family and everybody, but I know Doug has been a great person to get to know, and I know he's going to definitely make his father proud for sure, and he's a great person to have on our side.
All right, we'll take our last question from Daniel. Go ahead.
Daniel McFadden from C Sports. There's pretty good chances of rain over the next 2 days. So what kind of track surface are you guys planning to be anticipating after racing on Sunday? How's that affecting you guys doing practice for the next 2 days?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the weather does. I know it doesn't look great, especially for Sunday. It doesn't look good. I'm not sure how tomorrow looks, but whether it's going to be a night race or a Monday afternoon race, I don't know. But I know it's going to affect the PJ1 they plan on putting down in the second and third lane. They'll probably have to reapply it. But green racetracks are pretty hard to practice on. We'll have one today, a green racetrack, and until it rubbers in. But kind of the start of this practice will probably end up being the racetrack we're going to race on, just because the rain is going to wash all the rubber away, and it'll be just like the start of this. So we'll take a lot of notes of how we start off and fire off, and then where our car goes as it rubbers in. That'll be a really important deal. So we'll have to pay close attention to that this afternoon when we get on track.
All right, Brian, we appreciate your time today, and we wish you best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, that's exciting stuff. And Michelle, we know both the Weather Company and NASCAR are certainly brands that everyone in our country certainly know about, but why does this partnership with NASCAR work so well for the Weather Channel, or Weather Company rather?
Sure. So clearly weather matters in business, particularly for a business like NASCAR, which is highly dependent on the weather. And so we know that in NASCAR, when you are sanctioning 1,200 races at various locations with all different kinds of weather conditions, from Michigan to Florida, from my home state of New Hampshire, all the way to Texas Motor Speedway, it is important that you have the most accurate, precise, and hyper-local weather available. And that's why we're so excited about this partnership. The Weather Company, under our Weather Channel consumer brand, is partnering with NASCAR so that we can provide a better race experience, not only for race operations, but also for the drivers and fans. And I should say, it's really important. This is not just about a forecast. It is about enabling NASCAR to make weather-driven decisions with greater confidence and less uncertainty. And we're really excited about this, and we're so thrilled to be the official weather partner.
Thank you for that. And Elton, you're certainly a part of a lot of those decisions that need to be had. Can you talk a little bit about how a partnership with the Weather Company can help us do our jobs?
Yeah, absolutely, Kurt. As Michelle alluded to, weather is a big part of our planning each week. So to have great data or accurate data so that we can make the best decisions possible as we move forward in collaboration with our TV partners, with our track operators, with our teams. Most importantly, we want to make sure we get that information to our fans, so we're making great decisions. It's great to have the Weather Company on board, and we're excited and looking forward to the future.
And finally, Ben, drivers care about weather too. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how it can impact some of your strategy that you're putting together as a driver?
Yeah, we care about weather a lot, and kind of as I alluded to in the video, there's so many different factors that go into a race weekend, to be a driver and be a team and be competitive and ultimately try to win a race. But weather's always been a big factor. It's something I always try to predict, and it's something we use, our phones and tablets and the internet to try to really absorb as much as we can. Really the first point, whether or not it's going to rain, and if it does rain, what's the backup weather plan? And I think a second point, even bigger than that, is what's going on at the track right now. Is the sun out? Is the sun not out? How hot or cold is it? And really, the track's changed so much. And I think Charlotte is a really good example. This is probably one of the most temperature-sensitive racetracks we go to. And when the sun's out like it is right now, it's going to be so much different than at night, like tomorrow night. When cars race. So there's really so many factors that go into it, and I think this will be really neat to see.
I agree. With that, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. If you would, please raise your hand and give us your name and affiliation when you do it. Let's go Mike, Tyler, and then up here to Mr. Mark. Let's go to
Mike Henry, USA Today. So, Michelle, is it going to rain Sunday?
Somehow I knew we were going to get that question. The weather is looking like there might be rain, but I think that what we are doing for NASCAR is giving them the most accurate real-time weather information they need so that they can make decisions about what to do here any day, whether it's here in Charlotte this Sunday or when we get up to Homestead in November. The goal is to provide them with the most accurate and precise and hyper-local forecast, because what happens at one end of the track could be very different than another end, right? So you've got a track like Daytona, which is 4 kilometers. Well, we're actually forecasting for 2.2 billion locations around the world every 15 minutes at half a kilometer resolution. So we can get down to, the specific turn on the track.
Let's go to Tyler and then up to Mark. Go ahead, Mark, if we have a mic there.
Mark Carroll, PRN. Elton, we've all been around this, or some of us in this room, been a long time, to the point where the only weather forecast we had was built into the side of a truck with a screen that was about 8 inches wide. We'd gather there in the hundreds trying to get a peek at it. Can you talk about there to here, to what we have right now with the weather company?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. And the collaboration that we have and the partnership that we have with the weather company, as Michelle alluded to, again, it's going to give us far more accurate information and data than we've ever had before to make the best decisions possible. So, yeah, we have come a long way from the weather script on the side of the hauler there, and we're making decisions off that, and it's green and it's this and what we're going to do. So hopefully we'll make better decisions going forward.
Let's go to Tyler and then up here to, oh, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to add that in addition to all of the great data that we are providing, this real-time data, we're also staffing this partnership with a team of meteorologists who are going to be providing insights days before a race all the way throughout, you know, that waving of the checkered flag. So you will have a team of meteorologists who are working with NASCAR around the clock.
Very good. Let's go to Tyler and then Dustin over here.
Tyler Burnett, Motor Racing Network. Is this the first week you guys are going to be using this? Because it seems awful convenient that this weekend with a chance of rain that you're kicking this off. And secondly, Elton can probably speak to this. How is this different than what you've been using the rest of the year if this is the first week that you're using it?
Well, first of all, it's not the first week that we've been using it. It's, again, Michelle mentioned earlier, we get updates starting last Saturday and Sunday of what the forecast may look like going into this weekend. So all of our pre-event planning, we have that data. Obviously, as we get closer to the event, it becomes more accurate and gets us to a point where we can make a final decision. But we've been using that to date. It's a little ironic that it is this weekend, but we have been using that to date.
Let's go Dustin, and we'll wrap it up with Lewis.
Dustin Log, NBC Sports. Obviously, with the large fan venues, lighting is an issue. Obviously, NASCAR has a policy in place. How does this enhance this, or what does this do in terms of providing more information for the sanctioning body in terms of lighting to get that information out to fans?
Do you want me to take that?
Sure.
Sure. So, you know, the information we provide, we are going to be providing NASCAR with a number of very critical weather insights that'll be relevant to their business. But ultimately, it's about NASCAR making the best decisions, not only for operations, but clearly for the fans. They will have access to a tremendous trove of weather insights that will be very specific to the tracks that we're at. So if lightning is imminent, they will know, and they will be able to make decisions based on that data.
And let me ask you one thing, is who's kind of laying that information? You talk about this tremendous amount of information, but if I have a lot of information, I don't know how to read it.
Absolutely, that's a great question, and so that's what the part of the announcement is introducing the NASCAR Weather Track, which is a comprehensive real-time weather insights dashboard that right now is specific to race operations, right? So they're getting in a lot of data, and they need to be able to make sense of it very, very quickly. So this dashboard is designed to do that. It is still in development. As we talked about, we've been providing these insights for a while, but now they're going to have one center of weather truth, and so we're really excited about that. And all of this is on the IBM cloud. So you're talking about massive amounts of data that we're able to then condense down into a single view for NASCAR, and it will be very specific to whatever track NASCAR is racing at.
And will the fans be able to get access to this at some point as part of an app or something, or be part of the tracks app or something like that?
Yeah, so this particular dashboard is very specific to race operations, right? So this is the information that's going to be beneficial to them. But yes, you can imagine that there is going to be information on NASCAR.com, and we will be enhancing that information over time. This is just the start of what we hope is a really long-term collaborative partnership with NASCAR, with Ben Kennedy Racing. It's very exciting for us at the Weather Company and IBM, and we look forward to providing even more great tools, not only to race operations, but also to drivers and to fans.
Let's go ahead and round it off here with Lewis.
Yes, over here. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Following on Dustin's question, what, in layman's terms, Elton tell you, I'm not very smart engineering-wise, are you providing any hardware, satellites, but other than expertise and computing power, there's just a thumbnail of what what's involved in your service?
Sure. So if I go a little too deep or if I get a little too excited, you'll have to excuse me because I am a passionate weather geek. I will profess to it. I'm not a meteorologist, but I am very passionate about what we do. So first of all, we're very committed to providing the most accurate forecast. And what that means is that we are taking both every publicly and privately available source, and we're looking at about 162 single models. Just so you know, a single model does not provide the best forecast. It's a blend of 162 models. We stand on the shoulders of giants. When we talk about precision, again, we're forecasting for 2.2 billion locations, refreshing every 15 minutes at half a kilometer resolution. And we're doing this at scale. So on average, we're delivering about 50 billion with a B weather forecast daily. I can tell you that on August 27th at the peak of Hurricane Irma, we delivered 93.8, so there's elasticity built into the system. That's why the IBM Cloud is so important, because we can scale up or down as needed depending upon the amount of data that we're providing. Does that answer the question for you?
Do you have your own satellite? This is all...
Yeah, no, so as a private weather enterprise, we are gathering data from satellites, from radar. We do have a network of 250,000 personal weather stations around the world, and we're capturing data from them, from 50,000 flights every single day, from crowdsource. It's an incredible trove of data that we are accessing, but every publicly and privately available source. And the reason that we do that, the reason that we gather all of this data, is so that we can provide the most accurate forecast, that we can be as precise as a company like NASCAR needs, and as hyperlocal as, frankly, a track like this demands.
Very good. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Michelle, again, welcome to NASCAR, and we look forward to great partnership. Thank you, everyone.
We're really excited. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to continue today's media availabilities. We're now joined by Kyle Larson, the driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet. Kyle, as we kick off the round of 12, how does Charlotte and the next two tracks set you up for advancing into the next round?
Yeah, it was nice to make it easily into this next round, and the tracks in this round suit me fairly decent, I guess. Charlotte, I seem to be hit or miss. I feel like whenever we end up running a day show at Charlotte, I'm really good, but the night races, for some reason, I struggle at. So hopefully the weather stays away and we can race while the sun's out, and then have a solid race and go to Talladega and not have to do anything crazy to gain a bunch of points, but go there and kind of relax will be nice. And then Kansas is one of my better tracks, so excited to get there. Seemed to always run better the second Kansas also, so looking forward to that. But just got to continue what we've been doing, making no mistakes. Top 5s and top 10s would be great. So that's our goal.
Okay, we're going to open the floor for questions. We're going to go to Kenny, and then we'll go to Zach, and then Bob.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kyle, how do you feel your team was competitively coming out of that first round?
I felt good. Where was it? Chicago. Chicago, I thought we were probably a fourth place car. I think we finished 5th. Loudon, I thought we were probably about a 4th place car and finished 2nd. And then Dover, actually, last week, I thought I had the best car, but I won the 2nd stage, and then under caution, I couldn't get my engine refired, so I went from 1st to 5th on just under yellow, and that kind of killed my shot to win. Where I felt like if I would have restarted the leader, I could have held on to the lead and maybe won. You don't know, but I felt like I would have ran at least 1st to 3rd, but instead we finished 5th. So I thought we were competitive enough to win the championship. So we just got to continue that.
Zach Tanzvetti, front stretch over here. Obviously, this is the last playoff race here at Charlotte on the oval. We're going to the Roval for next year. So are there any concerns for you? Do you see it as a benefit for the Speedway? And as I said, do you have any concerns on the move? We've seen some changes already on the front stretch. So what are your thoughts on how it's progressing so far?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know if it's going to be a good race, a bad race, a embarrassing race, or what. But it's going to be exciting nonetheless. So I think the fans will enjoy it. I don't know how the drivers will feel about it until we actually get to make some laps and compete. But Charlotte and NASCAR are trying to make things more exciting around here, and that's one way to do it. So I don't know what to expect though. It'll be interesting when they get to test it. I think in a handful of weeks, it would be cool to see.
Okay, we're going to go to Bob and then Reed.
Bob Piper, CSPN. In light of what happened at Las Vegas, do you have any concerns about doing the victory lap there in December?
No, I mean I hadn't thought about that. I know NASCAR has an awesome security team, so I wouldn't never really be nervous and all that. I mean, I don't know. Any of those people that were going there, probably don't expect anything like that to happen. So I don't think I would ever expect it to happen. But as we've seen time and time again, it seems like lately anything can happen at big events. So I don't know, but I wouldn't be. I guess right now I wouldn't be too worried about it because, like I said, NASCAR is a great team of security.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kyle, with Talladega being the middle race in this round, does the fact that you've got a substantial number of playoff points in the bank give you some latitude there in terms of strategy? Will it affect the way you approach that race?
Well, I think it kind of depends on how this weekend goes. If we have a solid week where we gain a good amount of stage points and finish good in the race, where we can gain points on ninth place, I think you could approach it differently and be more cautious. But if we have have something go wrong here and we're close, I think you have to race it. So where those guys that are already further down points than me, they're probably gonna have to race no matter what. But so yeah, I just hope we can get through this weekend smooth and gain a lot of points. So because I don't like Talladega, and especially in the playoffs, it's nerve-wracking. So I hope we can just capitalize on this weekend and have an easier weekend on ourselves next week.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kyle, what do you have to do to further compete against the Toyotas? What do you need to build upon if you are in one of the Final Four at Homestead, that it gives you even a better chance for as good as you are at that track?
I don't know. I feel like it's been, I don't know. I feel like we've been really good. I feel like I'm even better now in the playoffs than we were in the regular season compared to them so far anyways. So I feel like we've closed the gap a little bit, but other teams have closed it even more. I think Hendrick's done a really good job so far. The two teams been strong. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the 42 team has been really, for most of the season, the only one to compete with the 78 and the 18. So we'll just continue to work hard and see if we can find small gains or big gains to get even better.
Okay, we're going to go to Daniel and then Jenna.
Daniel McFadden with NBC Sports. How are you and your team approaching today's practice session and tomorrow's, given the threat of rain on Sunday, and what are you going to be doing in those practice sessions, given not knowing what kind of conditions you're going to be racing in whenever the green flag eventually drops?
Well, it's a pavement track, so I feel like the conditions are always fairly the same every time we come around. So I haven't talked to them yet. We had like our practice plan that we met about on Wednesday, and it's basically the same as every week. Starting race trims, swap to qualifying trim, things like that. So I don't think it'll change a whole lot. I know a lot of people talk about, when it rains, it washes all the rubber away. Well, I mean, rubber gets laid down super fast anyway. So to me, all the conditions, anytime we get rain or any sort of weather, it goes back to normal really quickly. I think what could change is if we race a day or night. That's where Charlotte seems to be the most sensitive track for the sun. So that'll be interesting. But I feel like I ran more night races here than day, so we've got probably a good notebook if we end up racing at night.
Jennifer, AP, Kyle, do you think that you had to learn how to win at the Cup level? Like you had to learn something that got you that final distance to victory lane?
Well, yeah, I guess. I put myself in a lot of positions to win throughout the first 2.5 years of my NASCAR career, and I seemed to kind of choke, I guess, late in the races. So, but each of those losses I had, I became, I learned something from each of them. I became more calm at each of them. So I think now this year with having even better race cars and stuff, and putting myself in position even more, seems like half the season I felt like we've had a shot to win. I've gotten smarter and more calm and stuff like that. Just controlling your emotions and thoughts, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten better at winning or whatever, learning how to win. But our race cars, I think, are the biggest factor in all that. I feel like Chase is, I don't know, he's probably ran second as many times as I did before the first win and been close just as often as I have, maybe even in some cases more often. But I don't know, he seems extremely mature, so I'm sure he's dealing with it fine. He seems so far this year he's dealt with all the close finishes way better than he had last year. So I think that's a case of him learning from each of those losses and just becoming more calm and mature. But he'll win, and he's gonna win. When he wins one, he's gonna win a lot. Similar kind of what I did this year.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Kyle? Okay, Chris?
Chris Knight, catchments.com. Kyle, I just got the press release this morning, and I was wondering about tomorrow's meeting with Atsuka. How do you pronounce that?
Atsuka.
Okay, yeah, and the idea of working to raise awareness about mental health.
Yeah, that's this is our first week in having them on the quarter panel there, and they're on Bowman's Xfinity car as well as my Cup car, and I mean, I hope we can grow and build on that relationship. It's always fun and exciting when you can bring a new partner in and be a part of your team and organization. So I hope we can do what we can to help raise awareness for mental health, like they want us to, and can build on that in the future and have them be a part of our team for a long time.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for coming in, Kyle, and good luck this weekend.
Okay, we will continue our media availability right now with 4 drivers from the NASCAR Xfinity Series, all of whom are in the playoffs, coming into tomorrow's cutoff race for the round of 12. First off, we have driver the number 5 TMC Chevrolet, Michael Annette. Driver number 62 South Point Hotel and Casino Chevrolet, Brendan Gaughan. Driver number 21 Anderson's Maple Syrup Chevrolet, Daniel Hemrick. And finally, last but not least, the driver of number 16 Lilly Diabetes Ford, Ryan Reed. Gentlemen, I guess the obvious question is sort of the mindset. You're all in different spots coming into this cutoff race. How you feel about your chances of advancing tomorrow here at Charlotte? Start with you, Daniel, if you don't mind.
Maybe. No, I feel okay. Obviously in this current format, you can never feel great. I don't feel like, but you just got to go to work. You got to put yourself in good positions, and that's what we have to do this weekend. Just make sure we try to do what we've done to get to this point, and that's minimize mistakes. I feel good in the race team, everything we have going for us, and it's always good to be at home. So happy to have a cutoff race here in my home track. It was nice not have to pack a suitcase last night or this morning, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest thing we all can sit up here. We know exactly the easiest way to get a lot of points is qualify well tomorrow morning and just stay up there. I mean, I think I'm 7 points out and I can finish second in that first segment and be right be inside the bubble. So it's pretty simple on what we need to do.
And then Ryan, before you start, it's kind of interesting that you guys are sitting next to each other. You're only 2 points difference in the standings. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think this is, as far as what you would expect or what you'd want out of a playoff format, this is it. I mean, this is as tight as it can get, and there's the entire season on the line coming down to one race, and makes for a lot of exciting and a lot of drama. I would rather not be the one that's in this position. I'd rather be kind of watching from afar or be 30 points to the good, but that's not the case. So we just got to go out there, do a really good job all weekend, execute. It starts, here in a couple hours of practice, and if you have a strong weekend, that's, you've had, a lot of races to get here. in a lot of races to figure out where your program's at. And so I feel like our mile-and-a-half stuff's really strong, and I'm glad the cutoff race is here because I feel like we have an opportunity to have a strong race car. And like Michael said, it's going to be not just about where you end up and not having not just a strong finish anymore. It's not like, man, we can just have a safe day and then end up with a top 10 finish and be okay. You got to go out there, and these guys are going to obviously bring out 110%, and they're going to be tough to beat. And so I think that you're going to have to get some stage points, and I think that you're going to have to be up front all day long in order to transfer with as tight as this bubble spot is.
Brennan?
This is what you wanted out of a playoff situation. This is why they built it. That's a great statement for it. It's, this is what they wanted. They got it, and it's working really well. You look at the Cup race last week. The playoff situation has worked great for NASCAR. It works great in this case, and for us with the South Point Chevy, it's kind of what we've been doing the last bunch of races, even before the chase. We just have to manage. We have to know what we're racing, who we're racing, manage what you have. If they go for stage points, we better go for stage points. But if we unload bad, if we, this is not the time to come off the trailer and not be the best you can. You better be good from the start, but then you also have to pay attention to what they're doing. If they go for stage points, you go for stage points. You can't just give that away, and in the end, it's going to be a hell of a battle because, we're only talking 2 positions and 6 positions, 7 positions between the 3 of us, so that's nothing. That's, you finish 3rd place, it doesn't mean that you're going to be in. That's pretty awesome. So I think this is a great scenario for NASCAR.
Cool. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll open up to questions. We'll start over here with Lee up front and then with Daniel.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Brendan, can you just talk about the events that occurred at Las Vegas over the week? And
I think we're going to have a press conference tomorrow that I'm going to be at that we can talk a bunch about that if you want.
Sure.
This one's more about the playoffs and what's happening right here. I'm not afraid to talk about it, Lee. You know that, but this one is more about the playoff situation right now. Then tomorrow we're going to have another one with, I believe, Spencer and a couple others of us that are going to be doing something.
Then, Daniel, can you talk about the kind of confidence you get signing a new contract, taking that knowledge into the playoffs, knowing you don't have to worry about what you're doing next year?
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously a very humbling situation to be a part of. I'm very thankful and blessed to know that I get to move forward through this weekend with family and friends here at the racetrack in my hometown, and to know we get to do it on the weight of I have something going on next year, and I have an opportunity to race. So just so pumped up to be a part of Richard Childress Racing. I feel like right now is obviously to the sport. Everybody knows we're in a kind of a rebuilding mode, and I think we've done that all year on the Xfinity side. I know the Cup side is doing the same thing, and I look forward to being able to stay with the progression of where the company is going. Anytime you can be a part of that, it's a very trying time because you can get down, but I think Richard Childress is a great leader. We have a bunch of great leaders, a lot of depth in our company that's allowing us to take these strides, take them together, good or bad, and to know I get to continue to do that in the future is a very exciting thing.
Stretch. This is the final playoff race here at Charlotte on the oval. They're switching to the oval for next year. All of you have had some pretty solid numbers on road courses the last couple of years. Brendan, you've won before, so when you look at the changes for this speedway that's coming, what do you think the sport needs? Do you believe that it's a good move, and do you see any concerns, when it comes to this change?
I love road courses. I just hate the name Roval. I think that's an awful name. But I love my road racing. We all know that, and we've been running speedway road courses for years. Hell, Daytona's been doing it for how long have they been running the 24? 55 years or something now. So it's nothing new. I'm fortunate that I've been to run that a few times, and fortunate enough, and I love road racing. And it's what an opportunity to come to NASCAR's home and come to a place that is in the playoffs now with a road course. Fans have been asking for that for years, to have one more. The last style of racing that we have is road racing. So to put it in the playoffs, is awesome. And to do it here at Charlotte with the ability to do that road course oval is cool. I've seen they've done a little bit of changes here and there, and can't wait to see how it plays out.
Anyone else on the road course? Okay, we'll go to Daniel, Jacob, and then Chris.
Daniel McFadden with NBC Sports. Daniel, how much was your team kind of thrown for a loop with the suspensions this week, and how much is that going to hurt you at all this weekend, but just going into all 3 races of the next round?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt us at all. Obviously, we accepted what happened. We know as a company it's unacceptable, and we're not very proud of how it all went down on our end. But I feel like I talked about the depth of the company earlier, and how we can answer those calls, that depends on us. So I feel solid with the group of guys we have to move forward with. I know Danny Stockman and my engineer back at the shop are still very, very heavily involved with what's going to happen at the racetrack throughout the race weekends, and know that those guys have been a huge part of what's got me to the situation we're in. So I know as a whole, RCR is rallying around myself, Brendan Gone here in the Xfinity Series to make sure that we have the best possible shot to run for a championship, and we're going to take what was given to us throughout the week with stride, and I feel like it's not going to affect us in any form of a negative way going forward. I'm confident what we have, what we can do together, and we're going to keep doing that.
Oh, Jacob, then Chris.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. One for Daniel and then one for Ryan. Daniel, coming back for year 2 next year is obviously big for you, but can you talk a little bit about the growth you've seen out of the 21 team this year and just kind of the progression that you guys have made?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the growth has been pretty substantial, but also I don't want to get lost in the fact that, we started out the year running strong. We had some really good finishes. Heck, we won a Dash for Cash race, or won the Dash for Cash deal at Bristol with, I think, a 4th or 5th place finish, and that was early in the year. So
Yeah, you still owe me money, by the way.
do I?
Yeah.
I think I gave back to you at the casino. No, but so in all honesty, like we showed what we were capable of early in the year, but we also showed at times where we got down and we didn't rebound like we needed to. I think the growth part of it comes into where we've unloaded closer, we've practiced, qualified further up the board, and we've taken that into the race and had better race cars, and that's where we've shown growth. It's eliminate some of the variables, knowing a better baseline, and as a group, that's something to be excited about as we get to this part of the year.
Ryan, I think it's interesting looking at you sitting where you're sitting in points and knowing that a week ago at Dover on the Cup side, your Roush teammate Ricky Stenhouse pulled a gamble. It paid off with stage points, and it ultimately got him to the next round. I mean, with as close as you guys are all sitting, do you feel like it could potentially come down to that type of a gamble again on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. I think we talked about stage points earlier and how important they are, and that's a great example of that. If Ricky didn't go out there and take that gamble and get those stage points, he doesn't advance. So, prime example of how important they are. I think that at Charlotte, with tire management being a lot different, you're gonna have a lot more tire wear here. So I think that realistically, it's harder to see that exact scenario playing out. But regardless, it doesn't. The point of that is just how important stage points are. So, to me, what it emphasizes is being able to be a top 10 car and being able to be in position to get those stage points. Just because it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a race. It's no different than you can play all these games. You can talk about stage points. You can talk about all the different ways you can kind of work your way into the next round. But we're the two guys sitting around me. We're racing each other, and so if we're faster than them, then we'll be good. If we're not, then we're probably going to get beat. And so our priority needs to be being faster than the guys around me, and that's what we'll do.
Chris?
Chris Knight, catchfans.com. Daniel, was there any consideration to go elsewhere in 2018? And with the crew chief not announced yet for next season, do you have any worries or just any feeling that things might not go as smooth as they have this year and that all the momentum will be lost if he doesn't come back next year?
No, first I'm gonna answer your question backwards if you don't mind. But first off, the crew chief side of things, Danny Stockman has done an incredible job of not only assembling the race team from scratch, as what we did over the offseason, leading into this year. The group of guys have really never worked hand in hand together, and what we did in such a short amount of time was pretty impressive from my side, from the outside looking in, and being involved in it. So I'm proud of that, and we're obviously get through the 4-race suspension with those guys and kind of reevaluate everything over the off season, because that's our time to figure out what's best for my career, what's best for the company moving forward. And like I said, the depth and the leadership at our company, we can make that decision, in a later date and know what's best for everybody moving forward. But our focus is competing for a championship right now in the Xfinity Series. And as far as the talk about going anywhere else, I mean, I just had full confidence in Richard. He's shown that confidence to me, and he's given it to me that there's a way to make it work, that he was going to make sure I was in one of his race cars. So to have somebody have your back like that is incredibly humbling. That's all it takes. You got to have somebody give you a shot, and Richard's done that. So I've stayed as true as I can to him, and I will continue to do that as we move forward.
Any more questions for these guys? All right. Well, thank you so much for the time, gentlemen, and good luck tomorrow.